Alright, getting back into the keyboard game. You know what, let's start with the TOFU 65. Let's go through this TOFU. So the TOFU kit's around $215. That's not bad. I need some stabs too. Durox, they're the best, right? Durox for $18. Some switches, I heard the NK creams are good, so how about some NK creams and some switch films for $75. Alright. And for keycaps, can't get any GMK stuff, that's unobtainium, so how about some nice ePVT keycaps for 84 bucks. And that comes out to a total of $392.65. Sounds pretty reasonable. Now, with this keyboard, I'm going to start a YouTube channel and call it Keyboard. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Keyboard Scott. That is actual screen grabs from my purchases back from like 2020, when I literally built my first TOFU 65 and started out my YouTube channel. That entry-level keyboard back then, it cost me $400. Today, we have this. This is the Zen 65 by Wobkey, and it starts at $89, and it's leaps and bounds better than that TOFU. In fact, it's actually probably the best $89 keyboard you can buy right now. Still boggles my mind how can Wobkey actually sell one of these for this cheap? I have no clue. I know tariff and uncertainties are there, but I hope we get all that stuff figured out soon. Regardless, if you're in the market to enter into like the mechanical keyboarding hobby, the Zen 65 and the Rainies and the Endies, those are probably where you want to start. So let's go. Okay, the Zen 65 by Wobkey. Wobkey, you say? They sound pretty familiar. Yeah. Do you Rainy75? Yep, they're the ones that made that one. The Zen 65 is a 65% pre-built keyboard, which means it comes ready to use out of the box. It first will start off on the Kickstarter campaign, and they will eventually be like similar to the other Wobkey offerings, an in-stock keyboard on their site. However, if you do hop on Kickstarter, that is like where you're gonna get the best deals. So you're gonna start around $89 for their light version. And there's also a fancier one. The version I have is the Ultra version, and it's $129, and we'll explore why later. So, what makes this thing so good? Well, I think we should start here first. Can you believe that thocks comes from an $89 keyboard? Pretty wild, no? But that's not all with this thing. There is just so much more. Let's dive straight into this, shall we? Okay, so the Zen 65 has a very nice and minimal look to the case overall, with the exception of a few different things. So first of all, they decided to add throw a little splash of color here and there, like the arrow cluster keys and like the random keycaps that spell out RGBY. Clever. Behind the keyboard, underneath it, you can see this little gold peek out. So the Ultra version comes with a two-tone weight like this, which I believe the light version doesn't, it's just a single color. But I believe even this is anno aluminum, it's not brass on the outside. Look at this thing though, you remove the little Wobkey badge in the center, you got a 2.4 GHz receiver. Yep, the Zen 65 is tri-mode, which means Bluetooth, 2.4, and wired. Back on top, for keycaps, they are made of double shot PBT and cherry profile, and overall decent keycaps, especially in this price range. Underneath the keycaps you'll find this, the new Kale Lunar switches. These look eerily similar to the creams, no? Well, they're not even close. The Lunars are actually a new box design switch with an MX stem on it. They're super smooth and have such a nice commanding sound to them. So if you actually bought these separately, they're gonna come close to like $40 for just the switches for the amount you need. Beneath the switches, you can see the crazy flex cut FR4 plate and then the medley of foams underneath that as well. Well, shall we look a little bit deeper? Yes, we shall. Look at this magic trick. Voila. Yup, the Zen 65 comes equipped with a ball and catch quick release mechanism. For a keyboard that starts at $89, that's pretty awesome. First of all, the mounting structure looks like plate gasket mount, right? But wait, there's more. That's actually just one of 4 different mounts you can do with the Zen 65 keyboard. What? Yep, you can also opt for some of these other gasket dumbbells right here. You can also do the dumbbell mount straight onto the plate, or you could also do the dumbbell mount straight onto the PCB, which also means you could do a plateless build. Or if you don't want to mess around with any of the squishy bits, you can also go just OG and straight top mount this baby. The interesting thing though is that regardless of which mount you do, they all have a decent amount of flex, even the top mount. It's not that much, but it's definitely there. I feel the maximum deflection of this keyboard is actually impeded by the foams below. Speaking of below, check this out. You remove the plate and the PCB module and what? Magnetic connectors. The surprises just keep coming on this keyboard. Besides that, you got the standard Kale style hot swap sockets, and you also got some pretty nice per key RGB going on right here as well. Did you know that the PCB is also QMK and VIA compatible? Yep. And as you'd expect from a keyboard like this, as I mentioned before, it's loaded with foam. On top of the P foam and the plate foam, you also got like the under PCB foam, which kind of also acts like a tape mod, and also the case foam as well. But if you remove the case foam, you are left with this. Yes, this is a brass weight that also acts as a cover for the battery. Honestly, for something that starts at $89, it's pulling all the stops. That brass weight comes with the $89 version too. So what is up with all this then? Well, I believe Wobkey, they want to give you a keyboard that will keep you from like getting bored. You can play around with like different components, right? It's hot swap, so you could try different switches and stuff like that. You can also try out like different mounting styles. Well, let's try that too, why don't we? For the comparison, I decided to just keep all the foam in. I feel that most buyers of this keyboard will probably use the foam in the build, so why not keep it that way? However, I did try this without foam as well, and it's completely usable. You don't really need the foam. Just expect the sound to become a little bit clackier. So let's take a listen to all that Zen 65 has to offer from a mounting perspective. Okay, so what do you think? Well, most of the mounts actually sound pretty similar to me, to be honest. I can hear slight nuances maybe, but it's not huge quantum leaps. Okay, so this is what I hear. The two gasket and the plate like dumbbells, right? The plate mounts, they sound fairly identical to each other, honestly. The PCB dumbbell has a little bit slightly softer, more subdued sound. And finally, the top mount, probably the most different. It has the most prominent sound profile, which I actually think is the best out of them all. Would it have been different with no foam? Perhaps. But honestly, I did try the top mount with and without foam, and it was pretty similar. With the exception of when you like remove the IXPE sheet, then it made the keyboard slightly clackier and some of that marbliness goes away. So I guess this is just how the Zen 65 sounds. Playing around with the Zen 65 for a few weeks, I have really grown to like this keyboard. Regardless of like which mounting style you choose, the crazy amount of flex cuts in the actual plate, it provides great dampened feel. So it's a very comfortable keyboard to type on. The Ultra version I have came with the Kale Lunar switches, and in my opinion, it's worth the splurge if you have the means. I think the standard one comes with the HMX switch, which is also good, but these are fantastic. I did find a few quirks though that I do wish was a bit different. First of all, the stabs on the Zen 65, they're perfectly fine, but I did notice that they are plate mount only, and you cannot upgrade it to like a screw-in. Next, with all the mounts available, I wish that Wobkey like tuned the board so that the different mounts provided more dramatic differences in both feel and sound. Overall, in my opinion, I would say like a 10% variation is pretty much all you're gonna get, best case scenario. Finally, if you do decide to top mount this thing, the quick release case is pretty much like thrown out the window and it's useless. While you can pop the back open fairly easily, the fronts get caught on the PCB, and the only way to really open this again is by like sliding a pry tool that I use like this. So keep that in mind if you do decide to top mount this guy. It's kind of hard to take apart afterwards. But beyond like all of that stuff, right? Am I being too critical for like a $89 starting keyboard? Probably. Then what is my final thought? Well, I think for a starting price of $89, the Zen 65 is a killer deal. The quirks that this keyboard has are not deal breakers in any way. Wobkey try to like implement high-end features into an entry board, and even if it's not 100% optimized, I would rather have the choices that this board has and it's offering versus not being there. So given that, I would say if you're in the market for a 65% pre-built, I would actually strongly look at this one. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll have more content for you in the future. Thanks.